Hi, welcome to Christina Marie TV. I'm your host, Christina Marie Flores. Well, tonight, what are we talking about? Well, I want to let you know the same computers in the 1970s, early 70s, that used to fill the size of a room now fit comfortably in the palm of our hand. How did that happen, and what challenges does our new life with computers bring? Well, to help me answer those questions, my guest tonight is the CIO of Ingress Corporation, Doug Harr. Hiya, Doug.
Hi, Christina.
We're going to start by asking if you will give us a little bit brief history on computers and how they got from really big to really small.
Well, that's taken quite some time. Starting in the 50s and through the 60s and 70s, I joined in to the computer race after getting out of college in the 80s. I learned my first systems and my first database, Ingress relational database.
Now I have a question.
In the early 80s.
What did a system look like back then? Because it was a
They
lot
were big.
different.
They were big. They did fill rooms. By the time I was getting out of college, they were getting a little smaller, but we were still working with punch cards and typing programs into the computer and hoping to get the right results out the backside. They were still very much the purview of corporations and government institutions that were trying to solve business problems or government problems with the computers, or take command of the moon. That was still how computers were used when I got into the game. It's just by businesses, really.
So now I have a few quotes here. In the early days, Bill Joy, the founder of Sun Microsystem, Bill Gates, of course, from Microsoft, all these kids got so hooked on programming, and I think Bill Gates actually said he was obsessed. Why, if it's so difficult and it took so many hours, so laborious to get this work done, why is it so addictive at that time?
Well, I can join in on that. It was addictive for me too. It's fun to program information, to create programs of software for a computer. It's a test of logic. It's a test of endurance. To write something that people could use, something that would come out with an answer to a question, and help someone either run their business or help a government, carry on the business of government. That was fun to figure out how to do that and how to solve problems and make things happen with software.
And when did it start going into more of an application for personal use, or how did that transition go from business into personal home use?
Well, it didn't happen long after I got out of school. I got out in 83 and I went to work for Hewlett-Packard. And while I was still there between 83 and 86, they were coming out with the first personal computers, and we were all tinkering with them. And, at first we were using them very simply, either write some notes, make a few calculations in a sort of calculator program. And I think really at the time, most of us knew these are going to become, ubiquitous. They're going to be everywhere in everybody's home, and we're going to do things like, simple things like store our recipes and keep our photos, but, it's going to go beyond that.
I remember that time because I was a mere child at the time, of course. But I remember going, what in the world would I need a computer at home for? I mean, I can write a recipe, I can type it out, But did you come against people that said that that's really not going to happen?
Well, certainly, and Bill Gates certainly had his detractors, as did others, that said, why would everybody need a computer at home? What could they possibly do with that technology? And, to be truthful, at the time there were some thinking of good thoughts about the things people could do, and there was a lot of head scratching as to what would be useful with the computers, right? Not everybody really did need one, but certainly the business user was getting great advantage out of having a personal computer at their desk, instead of, word processing being something somebody else did, and complex calculations being only available on the central computer. People were starting to be able to do those things at their desks. So in the early part of the revolution, business was really leading the way. People sitting at their desks at a company were really leading the way. And the home users were, and personal computer users were coming up in that race to taking maximum advantage of the computer. And now, of course, it's very much been democratized.
It's amazing to me. Now, was email the conduit? Was that the thing that people really wanted to have access to that in their home? Or what was the first incentive really to get people to put computers in their home?
Well, I think, I didn't use a computer a lot at home when it first started out because I use a computer all day long. I didn't go home and do gaming. I still don't really do a lot of gaming at home, but I think a lot of the early users were really enthralled with the computers because of gaming and because of the things they could do, as simple as a game like Pong, where you would flip a digital dot back and forth between two people.
Now, if nobody's seen Pong, you have to really know that this was the most bizarre game. It had two little paddles that you could move up and down, and one little boop,
Right.
boop, and we used to sit there for hours. Why was that so fascinating to us?
Something so simple, it's almost like watching my cat bat a fly around
Exactly.
against a window.
And what was the one with the little guy eating the Space Invaders?
Pac-Man and Space Invaders and everything. Yeah, I mean, the advent of those coming to your home, meant you didn't have to go down to the bowling alley and smoke cigarettes and play pinball. I mean,
Oh, cool.
you could play at home.
So primarily it started because of gaming.
I would say that a lot of the early use at home was gaming, absolutely.
And then how did it make the jump to something that is so integral in our life right now? I mean, how did it go from just gaming and occasional emailing to every single day I'm checking this machine in my house?
Well, boy, there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think you're right. Email was one of the things that came along that probably a lot of us started to use a computer at home to do their email. It's very sort of asynchronous. It's not online. I send you a message when you get home, you check, you found a message from me, and you replied. And that went on for quite some time, didn't it? I mean, years, really, where we use this computer in that way. And it wasn't until the advent of the internet and in the 90s, and then in this decade, people really discovering how to use the internet as a way to bring more of us together on our computers rather than, just us sitting in a dark room answering one email at a time.
Although I know there's many of you out there maybe that are sitting in a dark room or just kind of just stay in your house, and it's a way of socializing.
Yeah.
And this kind of touches on a subject that I'm kind of sore on a little bit on this, the face-to-face communication. Like you and I are speaking face-to-face.
Right.
There's an energy exchange that I don't see as much when you're doing Facebook or texting or tweeting or all these things that we have to do. Are we losing the ability to look in each other's eyes and speak to each other and sense and start to know how to see body language and all the intonation that we get when actually speaking to each other that's lost in texting, email, and tweeting?
Well, you make a good point, right? I mean, as people have sat in their, in their dark room answering emails, and most of which are saying, "What are you wearing?" I imagine. We haven't made really good use of video, and with the networks changing, one of the things about the computers getting smaller and smaller is the networks are getting more and more powerful, and some of the information that we really should be trading with each other, including a vision of us, a video projection of ourselves live, is really just coming to the forefront. I mean, it's just been the case with Skype and some of these tools that we can not only talk to each other or send email or text between each other, but we can share our image. We can be live talking to each other on screen. And, so that will improve things. I mean, there is an etiquette to using text, and there is a style and a grace to using text properly.
I want to know, why do we need to have video of each other as we're texting and talking to? Why don't we just talk to each other? I mean, why isn't it just,
we can. I mean, I think that mode will replace a lot of the texting that's going on. I mean, right now, really, we're just trying to, we just passed the signpost that said, we now can have many-to-many conversations. We have many people in a room, by permission, sharing our information with each other, and carrying on conversations that weren't possible just 5-10 years ago. It's just going to keep getting better. I mean, we're going to be able to add imagery to that. We're going to be able to, we're sharing our music, we're sharing our movies, we're sharing our thoughts and our dreams, and we are sharing imagery, but more and more that's going to be online real-time imagery. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to get together at the bar or at a restaurant and see each other, but there are people I'm talking to right now that I haven't seen since I was 10 years old, who, without the advent of this technology, I never would have been back in touch with. And so I find that very enriching.
Yeah, that's very amazing. And also, I have to concede that I have people all around the world on my Facebook friends that there's no way I ever would have met and have really good conversations.